Which state has the highest rate of public assistance recipients in the United States? Most Americans don't know that the state with the lowest rate of public assistance recipients in the U.S. is Utah. So which state has the highest rate of public assistance recipients? Fifth place, Kentucky. Nearly 17% of Kentucky's population receives social support, primarily through Medicaid, 65%, and SNAP, benefiting rural families and low-income workers. Fourth place, Louisiana. About 18% of Louisiana's population receives aid, mostly through Medicaid, 60%, supporting large families, low-income workers, and the elderly. Third place, Mississippi. Approximately 19% of Mississippi's population receives assistance, mainly through Medicaid and SNAP, benefiting families, low-wage workers, and rural communities. In the second place, West Virginia. Nearly 20% of West Virginia's population receives assistance, primarily through Medicaid, 75%, supporting low-income households, the elderly, and disabled. State ranks first has around 21% of its population receiving assistance, primarily through Medicaid, 70%, benefiting low-income households, the elderly, and children. That's New Mexico.
Alabama, which of course we know as a red state, their main digital newspaper has the following on its front page: how Trump's presidency could hurt Alabama. Federal program cuts hit us harder than most. Alabama is more reliant on federal programs like food assistance and Medicaid than most states. Let's zoom into this article by Mike Kasson, but let's also reflect on the fact that about 66% of Alabama voters ended up supporting Donald Trump. I'm not a big fan of the F around and find out type of content, because ultimately the find out part is suffering for human beings, and I don't like to see human beings suffer. At the same time, I think it is newsworthy, noteworthy, and just a little bit perplexing how so many people just vote against their interest. I mean, the people in the red state of Alabama and their politicians, they're railing against the government, they're railing against Medicaid, they're railing against all these things when their citizens are benefiting it more than blue states are, like by far, and that by screwing over these government programs, you're screwing over your people. Just take a look at this article. It says 65 or 66% of voters in Alabama supported the return of Trump to the White House. The third straight election, he carried Alabama in a landslide. When Trump takes office on January 20th, he will have the backing of Republican majorities in the House and the Senate to carry out his ideas. So what will the second term look like, and how will it impact Alabama? And I think this is important, that others say ideas floated by Trump, his advisors, and the GOP-led Congress, like slashing federal programs.
Look at this, cutting $119 billion from veterans' health care, cutting $47 billion from the NIH, making America less healthy, cutting $22 billion from Pell Grants, $12 billion from Head Start, making it harder for people to go to school, cutting $11 billion from the FBI, making it harder for us to fight crime.
Veterans health care, $119 billion. Eliminate health care for veterans. We're going to talk about the impact of all this stuff in a second. NIH, $47 billion. Pell Grants for education, $22 billion. Head Start, we all know what that is, $12 billion. The FBI, maybe they'd actually like to cut that, $11 billion. These, by the way, would zero all this stuff out. These are not just trims. This is eliminating this stuff.
That you would fire over half of the government's workers.
That's correct.
You would close the education department, other departments?
Yeah, I would shut down the U.S. Department of Education. Not because I'm anti-education, but because I am pro-education. And the federal government has no business in education that should be administered locally, and there's a lot of things wrong with that.
What other agencies?
I'd shut down.
If you're going to fire more than half the government workers.
Yeah, so
big cuts.
Yes, so in the Federal Reserve, I wouldn't shut down the Federal Reserve. I'd just lay off over 90% of the people working there. There's over 22,000 people in the U.S. Federal Reserve System now. We need less than 2,000 if its scope goes back to stabilizing the U.S. dollar, scope of focus.
The housing department, agriculture department, labor department.
Yeah, we're evaluating. I mean, a lot of those are on the potential chop block. We're 7 weeks into this campaign, but the agencies have identified that we would shut down and stay shut down, include the U.S. Department of Education, and then a long list of other agencies that will need to be shut down.
So you want to know what happens to the working class when a far-right capitalist comes into power? Let's look at Argentina. Self-described anarcho-capitalist Javier Milei took office in December 2023, who campaigned with a chainsaw in hand to symbolize all the cuts he would make to public funding. Within just 6 months of taking office, poverty rate in Argentina went up to 53%. ¿Por qué? Well, turns out freezing pensions, reducing aid to soup kitchens, cutting welfare programs and stopping all public works projects, firing tens of thousands of public employees, reducing energy and transportation subsidies, have all pushed costs up and made it harder for people to live. Experts are saying they've never seen such a large jump in poverty rates, that it is not protecting the poor. The only people cheering the cuts are markets, investors, and the IMF, to which Argentina owes billions to. Their annual inflation remains one of the highest in the world, exceeding 230%. People are describing working 3 jobs and it not being enough. Thousands are getting fired from their jobs or getting offered the chance to stay for half the money.
Republican senators are gearing up for massive cuts to entitlement programs and other government programs soon. And their overall takeaway is that it might be time to cut Medicare and Social Security.
Republicans are planning to try to cut Medicare and Social Security and end it as we know it.
If your Social Security number ends in an odd number, you're out. If it ends in an even number, you're in. There's a 50% cut right there. Of those who remain, if your Social Security number starts in an even number, you're in. And if it starts with an odd number, you're out. Boom. That's a 75% reduction.
Social Security has nothing to do with the deficit. Social Security is totally funded by the payroll tax levied on employer and employee. If you reduce the outgo of Social Security, that money would not go into the general fund to reduce a deficit. It would go into the Social Security Trust Fund. So Social Security has nothing to do with balancing a budget or erasing or lowering the deficit.
Yo, to anybody out there that seems to be mad at us, the people who didn't vote for that dude, laughing at your fucking around and finding out moments, fuck you. But we tried. We literally tried to make all of our lives easier. Even you ignorant motherfuckers. Y'all literally ignored that and chose. So when you lose your health care, I'm gonna laugh at you. Because you chose to lose your health care. When you lose your home, because interest rates are different. The people in charge now are different. You chose that. So yes, I'm gonna laugh when you homeless. When you cannot afford to buy anything, including eggs, you know, the reason why you said, fuck it, I'm just gonna vote for him because of eggs. I'm gonna fucking laugh. And we deserve to laugh. Because we tried to avoid the worst possible outcome and you motherfuckers said, nope.
I've been voting Republican your whole life because they keep telling you, you let them get their hands on it, they're going to fix it and you ain't going to be poor no more. And look at you. Still fucking poor. Still fucking poor. I wanted to play the fuck around game so goddamn badly. Well, you are fixing to find out very bigly.